You know what makes my blood boil? The fact that WWE keeps pushing this narrative that Roman Reigns is the greatest Survivor Series performer of all time, when the reality is far more complicated and controversial than they'll ever admit. They've rewritten history so many times to protect their golden boy that most fans have forgotten what actually happened. But today, we're ripping off the bandwagon and exposing every single moment, the good, the bad, and the absolutely infuriating. Because here's the thing, Roman Reigns' Survivor Series legacy isn't just about wins and losses. It's about politics, favoritism, and the WWE machine working overtime to manufacture a legacy that frankly, he didn't earn half the time. And if you disagree, stick around, because I'm about to change your mind with cold, hard facts. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Survivor Series 2015. Remember that night? Of course you do, because it was one of the most blatant examples of WWE force-feeding us Roman Reigns whether we wanted him or not. The tournament for the WWE Championship, vacated by Seth Rollins, and who do you think they had winning? That's right, their handpicked corporate champion. But here's what really grinds my gears, Dean Ambrose was right there. He was over with the crowd, organically, something Roman has struggled with his entire career. But no, WWE couldn't have that. They needed their poster boy, their next John Cena, even if the fans were chanting for literally anyone else. And don't even get me started on how they booked that tournament. Roman plowed through everyone like they were enhancement talent, barely breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, other participants were having competitive back-and-forth matches that actually told a story. The bias was so obvious, a blind man could see it. The worst part, Roman won the title that night, only to lose it back to Sheamus 5 minutes and 15 seconds later via Money in the Bank cash-in. So what was the point? To give Roman a moment? To pad his stats? It was a complete waste of everyone's time and an insult to the intelligence of the WWE Universe. Quick question for you in the comments, do you think Dean Ambrose should have won that 2015 tournament instead? Let me know below, because I have a feeling this one's going to be controversial. Now, let's jump to Survivor Series 2016, and this is where things get interesting. This was the first brand warfare Survivor Series in years, and Roman was the sole survivor for Team Raw in the men's traditional 5-on-5 elimination match. And you know what? Credit where credit is due, this was actually one of Roman's better Survivor Series performances. He eliminated 3 members of Team SmackDown, including AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose, and for once, the crowd was somewhat behind him because brand loyalty trumped Roman Reigns' fatigue. But here's the catch, even in victory, WWE found a way to make it about protecting Roman. Notice how they had him eliminate AJ Styles, who was WWE champion at the time. That wasn't by accident. That was WWE telling everyone watching that Roman Reigns is above the WWE champion. It's the same booking philosophy that's plagued his entire career, put him over everyone, all the time, regardless of whether it makes sense or serves the larger story. And let's talk about Survivor Series 2017 for a second, because this one is absolutely mind-boggling. Roman Reigns versus The Miz in an Intercontinental Championship match where Roman wasn't even the champion, The Miz was. But did Roman need to win to represent Raw effectively? No, he lost. And you know what the commentary team did? They spent the entire time making excuses for him, talking about how valiant his effort was, how he gave it everything. It's exhausting. It's the participation trophy generation of WWE booking, where Roman doesn't need to win because just showing up is enough to maintain his status. Here's another question for the comments, what's worse, Roman winning everything or Roman losing but still being treated like he won? I'm genuinely curious what you all think. But we can't discuss Roman's Survivor Series history without addressing the elephant in the arena, Survivor Series 2018. This was supposed to be a dream match, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. These two had fought so many times that WWE literally promoted it as the last time ever. And then Roman announced his leukemia diagnosis and had to relinquish the title. Now, let me be crystal clear, Roman's health battle is not up for criticism. The man fought leukemia and won, and that's genuinely inspiring and commendable. But here's what we need to acknowledge, the fact that WWE had booked another Roman vs. Brock match for Survivor Series shows you exactly how creatively bankrupt they were. How many times did we need to see this match? 5 times? 10 times? It was the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and expecting different results. The WWE Universe was burned out on this feud years before 2018, but WWE kept going back to the well because, in their minds, Roman Reigns equals money, evidence be damned. Moving forward to Survivor Series 2019, this one's special because it highlights everything wrong with how WWE books Roman. He was on Team SmackDown facing Team Raw and Team NXT in a triple threat elimination match. And shocker of all shockers, who do you think was the sole survivor? If you guessed Roman Reigns, congratulations, you understand WWE's playbook. He eliminated Keith Lee and then Baron Corbin to secure the victory for SmackDown. But here's the kicker, Keith Lee was having the performance of his life that night. He was the breakout star of NXT, getting nuclear reactions from the crowd, and this was his moment to shine on the main roster. What does WWE do? They have Roman, their established main eventer who doesn't need the rub, eliminate the up-and-comer who desperately needed that win to launch his main roster career. It's classic WWE, sacrifice the future to protect the present. And look what happened to Keith Lee's career afterward. Coincidence? I don't think so. Let me ask you this, can you name another Keith Lee moment from his main roster run that was bigger than Survivor Series 2019? Drop your answers in the comments, because I'm struggling to think of one. Survivor Series 2020 brings us to Roman Reigns vs Drew McIntyre, champion versus champion, and this is peak Tribal Chief Roman, the head of the table, the iteration of Roman Reigns that finally worked because they leaned into the corporate favoritism and made him an unapologetic villain. And you know what? This match was legitimately great. The storytelling, the intensity, the stakes, everything clicked. Roman won after interference from Jey Uso, which made perfect sense for his character. This is proof that Roman can deliver at Survivor Series when the booking serves the story instead of serving the agenda. When he's allowed to be the entitled, privileged, protected superstar that he actually is in real life, that's when Roman Reigns works. The irony is delicious. But let's not forget Survivor Series 2021, Roman Reigns vs Big E. This was another champion versus champion match, and while Big E was WWE champion, everyone knew who was winning this match before the bell even rang. Roman was in the midst of his historic Universal Championship reign, and WWE wasn't about to derail that for anything or anyone. Big E, despite being champion, was treated like an afterthought. The match was fine, Roman won clean, and Big E's credibility took another hit in a championship reign that WWE never fully committed to. Here's what bothers me, Big E won the WWE Championship from Bobby Lashley in one of the most heartwarming moments in recent memory. The fans were behind him, the locker room was behind him, but WWE never booked him like a real champion. He was a placeholder, and his loss to Roman at Survivor Series proved it. They sacrificed Big E's momentum on the altar of Roman Reigns' never-ending coronation. Quick trivia for the comments, how many days was Big E's WWE Championship reign? Bonus points if you don't have to look it up. And finally, Survivor Series 2022, WarGames. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline vs the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. The Bloodline won, because of course they did. At this point in his reign, Roman was untouchable, and the Bloodline was the most dominant faction in WWE. But here's what's fascinating, this wasn't really Roman's match. Sami Zayn was the story. Sami's internal conflict about his loyalty to the Bloodline was the emotional core of this match, and it was absolutely captivating television. This proves something crucial about Roman's Survivor Series legacy. His best moments are when he's part of a larger story, not the entire story. When Roman is surrounded by compelling characters and narratives, he thrives. When WWE tries to make him Superman, it falls flat. So here's the ultimate question, and I want everyone in the comments to answer this: is Roman Reigns a great Survivor Series performer, or has he just been booked to look like one? Because when you actually break down his Survivor Series history, it's a mixed bag of legitimate great performances, questionable booking decisions, and blatant favoritism. He's had moments of brilliance, sure, but he's also been the beneficiary of WWE's protection and preferential treatment more than any other superstar in modern history. The reality is this: Roman Reigns' Survivor Series legacy, like his entire career, is complicated. And until WWE and its fans are willing to have honest conversations about the good and the bad, we'll never get the full picture. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with someone who needs to hear the truth, and let's keep this conversation going. Because Roman Reigns isn't going anywhere, and neither is this debate.